Tonight on Golf Central, the Patriots' historic Super Bowl comeback got us thinking, what are golf's most amazing come-from-behind wins? We show you the best of the best.
Speaking of comebacks, what should we make of Tiger's withdrawal after just his third competitive round in 2017?
Plus, as the PGA Tour's best head to Pebble Beach, they'll have to share the spotlight with some of the biggest stars in the world of entertainment. We'll highlight some of the best celebrity moments from Pebble Beach coming up straight ahead on Golf Central.
Golf Central. Brought to you by Titleist.
Here is a look at our top storylines for the week ahead. PGA Tour moves to Monterey for the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. Some notables in the field: Jason Day, Dustin Johnson, Jordan Spieth, and last year's runner-up, Phil Mickelson. But the pros aren't the only stars competing this week. Some of the notable celebrities in the field include Bill Murray, Justin Timberlake, Peyton Manning, and Mark Wahlberg. And in Boca Raton, Florida, after a 3-week break, the PGA Tour Champions is back in action. Bernhard Langer, Greg Couples, and John Daly, just a few of the big names taking part in the Allianz Championship. With that, we say hello, Lisa Cornwell, Trip Eisenhower, Matt Adams, all smiles after our fire drill that kept us outside. But hey, look, plenty of golf to talk about, plenty of Super Bowl talk to talk about too, because it kind of interrupted a little bit of the play. What were you guys doing during that?
I was flipping, but I was flipping a little bit, but I was mainly tuned to the golf. No
I
question.
had two televisions going, so I could stay.
Gotcha.
Back and forth?
Yeah, flipping.
Okay, you're a good flipper. Let's take a look. While things were going on in the Super Bowl, what was going on the golf course in Scottsdale, because Hideki Matsuyama, are you kidding me, here at the par 4 18th for birdie in the win.
Yeah, and this right here, just right on line. He's got to think, because it's so much downhill, especially the last part of that putt, he had to think that was not possible to leave it on the edge.
He missed makeable ones at 16, at 17 as well. Kind of was the story of his day up until that point.
Okay, so that was at 542, and here's what was going on. Two other players, Matt Ryan, Tom Brady, they're making their final preparations for the Super Bowl matchup as that's going on. So we're headed to a playoff. Matsuyama and Webb Simpson shaking hands beforehand at 5:55 Eastern Time. And there we go. Things are gearing up.
Yeah,
Pre-game festivities. Tom Brady walking out thinking about it.
He doesn't look focused at all, does he, Matt?
Done that.
There they go. Wow, look at that. See, I didn't see this.
Well,
you said you had two TVs.
Yeah, but I was paying attention to this.
All right, Matsuyama for birdie from a similar spot as before.
Absolutely cannot believe that putt goes to the left. He hit it exactly where he wanted. You do not see that putt going left. And 1 foot further than he was in regulation in the playoff. Similar line.
So that leaves the door open for this guy, Webb Simpson, for birdie in the win.
Sometimes he comes up tentative with his putts, kind of up and out of that one just a little bit.
Okay, let's hear what was going on the other side.
And the Rockets' red glare.
Okay, second playoff hole. Go
Luke
ahead.
Bryan was amazing, by the way.
It was incredible. All the music the Super Bowl was. Matsuyama here on the second playoff hole, his third shot.
You know, everybody talks about, the short game not being that great. It is solid around this golf course each and every year.
He would make par, so Simpson now for birdie and the win.
And another one that he thought you would learn something there from Hideki's. That's a similar line that we saw Hideki on, and it went left as well.
So 6:24, guys, the playoff continues, and former President Bush, Barbara, it's good to see them healthy. They were at the game. So nice to see that. So back to golf, the third playoff hole, and Simpson.
Matching the speed and the line is so difficult. A lot of breaking this putt at the end. He had to love that one. Half a roll short.
Half a roll.
Couldn't believe it. Okay, 6:37. That's what was taking place in the golf, and here's what was going on at 6:37 in the Super Bowl. Just kickoff.
And we are off.
Super Bowl 51 underway. There you go.
How about that?
That's how to do it.
Solid right there.
That's a really good tweet from SB Nation. You're going to watch the little golf while that's going on, right? Okay. So now the fourth playoff hole. Simpson, this is a bit of an awkward spot for him.
Well, you know what? I've seen guys put it in the water from over there trying to get it too close to this hole. People said he could have maybe chipped it, but chipping it brings the water into play as well. That's not a bad effort from Webb Simpson.
And then there was this.
He likes this hole.
Split the hole in half. Yeah, very well done indeed.
What a win it was for Hideki Matsuyama getting that one to drop. And how about this list of company when you think about players who've successfully defended a PGA Tour title at the age of 24 or younger the last 30 years? Well, you can see Tiger Woods dominating that, and then of course Justin Thomas doing the same thing.
And Justin Thomas, guess who he beat? Hideki Matsuyama in the defense of his title. Hideki was right there.
And we're going to talk a lot about these young players, but let's focus on Hideki, because I know how much you both love this guy, love his golf swing, love his temperament.
Yeah.
Is this just sort of the beginning of what we're seeing from this young superstar?
Well, I don't think there's any question he's going to be the best Japanese player to ever play the PGA Tour. He's already surpassed the most wins by anybody from Japan on the PGA Tour. It's about major championships now. He, like Tommy Nakajima, has 4 top 10s in major championships. That's rarefied air. He's not far away from being the highest ranked in the official World Golf Ranking Japanese player. He's 5th. I'm surprised he didn't gain much ground. He did gain ground on Dustin Johnson, but eventually you look at Hideki Matsuyama and major championships. He's got the game to do it. And what I really like about what he's been doing is for years I would watch him practice a little bit. I'm a member at the same club, the Golden Bear Club here in Orlando, and he would spend so much time hitting balls and very little time putting. I've seen him spend a lot more time over on the putting green, and guess what? It's starting to pay off. He's holding a lot more trophies.
Yeah, he needs it to pay off as well. As Tripp was talking about, when you talk about where he is at around the green, he has more solid game than he gets credit for. But on the greens itself, he's 139th in strokes gained putting right now, whereas you look from tee to green strokes gained, Tripp, he's actually 7th. So it goes to show you that you don't have to be the best putter to win on the PGA Tour, but if you are not, then you have to be one of the best ball strikers.
And he's spending a lot of time, as you mentioned, and it's certainly paying off. Well, Hideki Matsuyama wins on Super Bowl Sunday, where football fans across the world witnessed the biggest comeback in the game's 51-year history. So with that in mind, what are some of the greatest golf comebacks over the years?
Quite a few, absolutely. You know, you go back to 1966 and Billy Casper right here. Arnold Palmer started thinking about his tempo on the back nine when he had that huge lead, and well, Billy Casper, he's a fantastic closer.
He also started thinking about the record of Ben Hogan at that time, and Billy Casper came back. 33 greens he one-putted that week, did Billy Casper.
How about 1995, the PGA Championship?
Had just redone the greens at Riviera, but they did not bother Elk at all. He putted brilliantly, and Colin Montgomery had a tough final round.
He did putt brilliantly, but at the time, Steve Elkington probably had the best golf swing in the world to match.
1996, we learned so much about Nick Faldo during these moments.
Yeah, there is one of his 6 major championships, and nobody thought Greg Norman would collapse the way he did.
A 67, though, on the final day for Sir Nick. Sometimes he doesn't get the credit that he deserves for what he actually did on that Sunday versus what Greg Norman did not.
Oh, boy.
And who can forget this? 1999, the Open.
But we talk about so much here. You got to talk about the unbelievable bad luck to hit a shot to the right of the green, and it hits a rail and ends up in that water, and then Paul Lowry walked right through the door.
If it had stayed in the grandstand, he would have got a drop from there. Van der Velde thought that he had a 3-shot lead at the start, or 2-shot lead at the start of this hole. He actually had a 3-shot lead. It was a comedy of errors.
It was the biggest comeback in PGA Tour history, erasing a 10-shot deficit.
Wow.
Absolutely incredible. 1999, the Ryder Cup, the Battle of Brookline.
Ben Crenshaw, I've got a strange feeling about tomorrow.
I'm a big believer in fate. There he was at 17. That was Justin Leonard. Now, the controversy here was because the U.S. team came onto the putting surface, charged on, and Ali had not yet putted.
USA came back from 10-6 to capture the cup. 2000, Tiger at Pebble.
Well, Matt Gogol looked like in complete control of this tournament with a 7-shot lead, but Tiger, one of the most famous eagles on the 15th hole ever.
He was Superman that year. He won 9 times in 2000.
And in 2012, the Ryder Cup.
And what the Americans did earlier, 10-6 down. Europeans just flooded that Sunday with putt after putt after putt.
Yeah, it was huge. And then after this, of course, Molinari ended up having his match with Tiger Woods.
Famously known as the Miracle at Medina, 2014 Travelers Championship.
7 straight birdies to close out the Travelers. Kevin Streelman, another victory on the PGA Tour.
Not only to close out the Travelers, that was the first time that anyone had ever birdied the last 7 holes to win on the PGA Tour. Very impressive.
Pick your favorite.
You know, my favorite is Jan van de Velde, just because of the comedy of errors that had to happen for him. And people were criticizing him for hitting driver off the tee. He did the right thing. He got a great lucky break. And then he hits the iron, the long iron, to the right of the green. There's out of bounds left. People don't realize that. Very close left. So he hit the smart shot to the right, hit a railing that big. And it comes back into the creek, and it gives so many other chances. You have so few chances to win a major championship like that. That is just such an unfortunate break. And it does happen in golf. Unfortunately, it happened to Jan van de Velde.
Lots of times when you're in these situations, you hear, like, for example, this year at the Masters, right, with what happened with Jordan Spieth and Danny Willits ever to close, and people focus on what the guy didn't do. In this case with van der Velde, he clearly let this one go. It was a comedy of errors. It was a series of bad decisions that went into ultimately his fate. So that's the reason why when I take a look at that, it is so clear that one person made a series of bad decisions. It was in fairness, because we look at Sir Nick at 96 at the Masters. Doesn't get the credit for what he did when he came back with a 67 on that final day. I don't think Danny Willett gets the credit for what he did this past Sunday of the Masters a year past. So in the case of van der Velde, the weight clearly is upon his shoulders.
I hear that your comeback in a game of Wolf at Keynes with the boys last weekend almost made the list.
Oh, yeah,
it was
yeah,
really
that was
close.
impressive.
Yeah, one down. It was great. Speaking of comebacks, this guy is trying his best to come back from injury once again. We check in with Tiger's longtime friend and confidant, Nota Begay, about his latest setback in Dubai. Plus, it's always an entertaining stop on the PGA Tour. Celebrities playing alongside the pros at Pebble Beach. We take a look at some of our favorite celeb moments over the years later on Golf Central.
Golf Central is brought to you by Titleist, the #1 ball at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. Shipsticks, the largest golf bag shipping company in the world, simplifying the way you travel.